I'll turn it over to our next presenter, Joshua Pierce from RHA, frequent presenter here. RHA has some new tools for locating outdoor units and also electrifying and panel sizes. So Joshua, I'll turn it over to you. We're a little tight today, so maybe if we could keep it to 10 minutes, that'd be fantastic. And yeah, thanks so much for being here.
Okay, I'll talk fast. Go ahead and put questions in the chat, or if there's time remaining, I can adjust and answer some questions there. Just wanted to take a few minutes, and thanks for the opportunity, Joe, to share what's going to be some publicly available documents right now being finalized with Silicon Valley Clean Energy, who is the local CCA that hired RHA to do this work. And I'll skip introductions about RHA, etc. So the first one that we'll talk about is the considerations for siting outdoor mechanical equipment. So we were hired to develop a couple of documents, this being the first one. And really the issues here, I'll move quickly since I've got about as many minutes as I have slides, is that local codes, especially in dense urban environments like San Francisco and the Bay Area, make it really difficult for existing homes to be able to install exterior mechanical equipment, specifically condensing units for heat pumps. And this is becoming a problem with where it's bumping up against existing setbacks, zoning setbacks, and limitations, especially in single family and multi-tenant dwellings and dwellings that have been converted into multi-tenant, where there's property line differences, as well as you've got egress requirements for fire and life safety and side yards, and manufacturer's instructions for clearances. So when you put all that together, it can be really challenging for folks. And so we put together a little guide. You can go to the next slide, Joe, just addressing these things. So ultimately, decibel levels in current noise ordinances and other places in municipal codes that establish noise levels, typically at the property line. Also setbacks, side yard, backyard, front yard setbacks, and variances, exceptions for unique site circumstances, as well as some standard mitigation solutions around these issues. Essentially of, not annoying your neighbor by having a condensing unit, mostly associated with old style, single stage, two stage condensing units. The new inverter driven ones are much quieter and give us some flexibility, but are still not the majority of what's installed in the market. So next slide, Joe. So let's just getting specific because we've only got a few minutes here. A few of the recommendations that we made, and I'd be happy to again share these documents with AWHI as soon as they're published. There's a large document which includes some research findings, as well as a condensed sort of companion document, which is a little more publication friendly, easier to read, and shorter for both of these. So increasing decibel levels still within conversation range. And we've given some options here, either increasing it for day and night or increasing it up to 60 decibels, but having or for continuous, but up to 70 decibels for no more than 15% of the time. All noise ordinances are basically enforced through complaints. There's no proactive enforcement, so it's still up to the contractor to make sure that they're meeting these requirements with the equipment that they install and any mitigations that they might have. Also reducing passive yard setbacks. So if you've got, say a 6-foot side yard and you've got a 5-foot building setback or something like that, you want to be able to encroach into that as long as you maintain egress, at least on one side of the house, like where you might have a gate going into a side yard mostly for fire and life safety, so that firemen can come in there and save your lives, as well as some hardship exceptions. So next slide, please. So that was a super fast, but I know that we only have a limited amount of time here. So I just wanted to share that that's the document, that's what it's there for. And it's really designed for planning officials and building departments who are engaging in the public process of updating their codes and really encouraging them to take a look at their zoning regulations, noise ordinances, and make some adjustments to those through their standard sort of process and do it more proactively, especially in those municipalities where you've got a lot of multifamily buildings, where they've got a lot of really tight single family homes that just don't have enough space. Okay, and then the next one is electrical service optimization. Now, lots and lots of folks are putting out documents. Spur just came out with a similar document. Really, they did a good job. Redwood Energy's watt diet calculator. So, some of this is familiar territory, but we tried to provide a really user-friendly document that would work both to educate building officials who are dealing with all of these incoming permits and not necessarily knowing how to treat them differently for residential buildings or treat them a little differently than they have historically, as well as for contractors. So that was sort of a simultaneous goal to help contractors see what their options are out there when electrifying homes, as well as parallel information from building department staff on how they can kind of support contractors in doing this and give them some additional information. Next slide. So you've all seen this graph. This all came from the fact that lots of studies now large-scale studies have determined that homes with less than 200 amp panels can be fully electrified, at least partially or fully electrified with their existing capacity. It's a big issue in California where we have just huge delays in some of our public utilities because of the demand for upgrade to service. So if you want to electrify your home, not only are you looking at potentially multiple thousands of dollars in addition to the actual cost of upgrading your electrical panel, but anywhere from a 12 to an 18-month delay in getting your infrastructure in place so you can electrify your home. So we offer several strategies here, reducing peak loads through low power appliances and energy management systems. There are some new residential energy management systems in the form of smart panels that are now getting certified under that Article 750 of the National Electric Code and as defined in Section 220.7 for doing load calculations. This is a really, really great opportunity. I think we're going to see a lot more demand in it as people start comparing the cost of upgrading their electrical service versus putting in simply putting in a smart panel that can act as an energy management system for your home, as well as calculation methods, alternative calculation methods, which a lot of contractors maybe not as aware of or don't know how to leverage to their advantage, and some other information for those folks. Got a QR code here that goes to our resources page. Those are not uploaded yet, but they will be as soon as it comes out. All right, next slide. So moving quickly here, I got these two backwards, but just sort of looked at the different load calculation methodologies. Again, we'll be putting up a template for each of these methods. That's just a spreadsheet template with some fixed formulas in it, as well as a PDF with some instructions for 220.82, which is the standard for new construction. A lot of folks don't know they can use 220.83, which has some, which is a little better for electrification, gives you a little bit more flexibility and leeway to determine your actual overhead. Even better, which you can use either one of these. You can actually run both and see which one helps you more. But 220.87, which uses your hourly smart meter data to establish what your peak load was and therefore what your overhead is. And then we also included there when you want to calculate the impact of non-coincident loads, like if you're using a load sharing device or circuit splitter, as well as 220.7, which is the one you would use if you were going to be installing an energy management system. So next slide. So it's all about making the code your friend. It's your frenemy, right? Sometimes it tells you what you can't do. Sometimes it gives you options for what you can. So again, we won't go through all this, but we provide some context for each one of these code references and when to use them appropriately. And then in the last slide here, in the document, we also provide some case studies of folks that we've actually helped electrify their homes using this with existing 100 amp panels, fully electrify their homes. And you can see in the corner there, we tried each of the different calculation methods and what the impact was, whether or not it passed or failed with all of the new loads. I think I stayed on time. I'll pause there, Joe, just to see if
that was
there's
amazing, Joshua. That was incredible. A lot of resources. I mean, I think my key first question is just when again do you expect the two resources to be out and available?
So hopefully these will be available to the public. I would say in the next 2 weeks. They're more or less finalized. We just we want to make sure that SBCE gets the opportunity to publish them first. before we make them publicly available, but I already have permission from them to, share the resources as soon as they're finished and approved. They're super, super close. We're just tweaking and fine tuning a few things.
Cool. So we'll make sure to get that out to all of our AWHI subscribers. Fantastic. And I mean, I was just thinking with that outdoor unit, that's of course important for space heating, air source heat pumps, but there's increasing, potentially increasing products of split system heat pump water heaters. So that could be a factor in the near future for water heaters as well. So,
Joe,
well, fantastic.
Yeah, we should. We'll hopefully have a webinar for these as well that we'll be able to offer through Amanda's amazing San Diego Learn program. So if you haven't signed up to take courses with Learn, go to sandiegolaearn.com. That's my plug. Shameless.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll plug that as well. That's we're doing the Combi heat pump webinar through San Diego Learn tomorrow. So it's a really great program.
I'll be there.
Awesome. Thanks, Joshua. Thanks so much for this.